Hey there YouTube, this is Vargas XX78 with a movie review, or a movie vlog, whatever you want to call it. But basically I just wanted to give a review and my thoughts on a movie that I just saw. And in case my shirt wasn't a hint, I want to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man, the big Spider-Man reboot that released in theaters this year. And I'm going to let you all know that there are going to be spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. I know I'm a little late to the game because a lot of people have already posted a review on the movie. But I wanted to give my own 2 cents on it. And of course, there will be spoilers. And also, I'm going to make some comparisons to the Sam Raimi movies. Since, again, that's the most popular point of reference that everyone has regarding a Spider-Man movie. So, first off, did I like the movie? Yes. Yes, I totally enjoyed the movie. I thought it was, no pun intended, but it was an amazing movie. The Sam Raimi movies, at least 1 and 2, I really liked. The third one, I liked parts of it. I liked the visual style of the Sandman, and I liked the battles between Spider-Man and the Sandman, and the first battle he had with Harry Osborn. Those were cool, but overall the story felt really weak. The characters made stupid decisions. So the third one is my least favorite one. My favorite one is the second one, then the first one, and the third one I just like bits and pieces of it. But this reboot, when I first saw the teaser trailer, I was not excited about the reboot. And it's because the way that teaser trailer was edited. And I'm going to try to make myself as clear as I can, but in that teaser trailer, it was edited in a way that it reminded me of Twilight. I haven't seen any of the Twilight movies, but I've seen the trailers. And the way that the Amazing Spider-Man trailer was edited reminded me of that. It made it feel like it was this young boy that got bitten by a spider, and he's going through all this emotional grief, and I'm so troubled and brooding, and I'm Spider-Man. So I didn't like that first trailer, but the last trailer I saw, and I might have mentioned this in another video, the last trailer I saw really got me hyped for Spider-Man, because they were showcasing more of Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. They were showing a little bit more of the Lizard, and Spider-Man was making jokes, and he was flipping all over the place. So the last trailer got me excited about this movie, and then I really wanted to go see it. So I went to see it with a few friends that don't really like comic book movies that much, except recently. They like Batman, they like the Avengers and so on, but they're not big fans. At least they don't follow the comic books. And I went to see it with those friends, and all 3 of us loved the movie. It was really cool. And so the movie itself is awesome. I liked it. I really liked it. Do I like it better than the Sam Raimi movies? Well, we'll get into that. First thing that I'm going to talk about and compare with the Sam Raimi movies is Peter Parker himself and Spider-Man. In the Sam Raimi movies, I don't know if that's how he was directed, or if that's how he was written, or if it was the performance of Tobey Maguire himself. But Spider-Man in those movies always felt kind of whiny. You know, he always felt like such a little weakling, and especially by the third one, Parker really got on my nerves, and he never felt funny. He never felt, he kind of felt like Spider-Man, but at the same time, he felt too whiny. So I didn't like Spider-Man that much, especially compared to, I don't remember his name, but his last name is Garfield. This actor did a really good job as Spider-Man. He pulled off the trouble, personality of Peter Parker, how he's stricken with grief and loss because his parents dump him on Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and they disappear and then they die later on. So he has that conflict of feeling abandoned by his parents. And then when he gets his powers, he also has a conflict of now he can do all these amazing things, but he's still has those issues, and then when Uncle Ben dies, you can feel his guilt about it. So he pulled that off really well. I will admit that this Spider-Man, but again, it's a thing about the actor that this Spider-Man does tear up a bit more than Tobey Maguire, but that actually worked for the type of Spider-Man he was going for. So yeah, I really liked this interpretation of Peter Parker a lot more than in the Sam Raimi movies, because this Spider-Man was funny, he was a little bit more acrobatic, and just his portrayal of Peter Parker was better. Best example I can give you is that after fighting with the Lizard, he comes home with Aunt May, and he's beat up, he has bruises, he has claw marks, and Aunt May just looks at him with this horrible look like, oh my god, what happened to you? And then Peter Parker just looks at her and then gives out this hurtful smile, like, and then the scene plays out. But that scene really pulled off Peter Parker for me in this new series. So props to this Garfield guy, because he did an amazing, no pun intended, but he did an amazing job as Peter Parker. So on the reboot, I like Peter Parker. This Peter Parker feels more human, but at the same time more like the comic book. So I liked this Peter Parker. The second character I really liked in this was the love interest, and that's Gwen Stacy. Again, they're trying to stick more to the original comic books. In the Raimi movies, they focused on the character that was with Spider-Man at that point, which was Mary Jane. In this one, they go with Gwen Stacy, portrayed by the always amazingly hot Emma Stone. But Gwen Stacy is Emma Stone's a funny person, so that kind of plays into Gwen Stacy. But also, she's smarter, she's more mature than Mary Jane. Mary Jane, played by Kristen Dunst in the first one, I really liked. In the first one, I liked her character. I liked the arc that she went to, and Kristen Dunst in the first one looked amazingly hot. After the second one, I don't think they knew what to do with Mary Jane, because then she was going through all this stuff with John Jameson, and then by the third one, her character just collapsed upon itself. Like, they didn't know what to do with Mary Jane, and she made all these stupid decisions, and then she became a victim. Just that whole character arc was a train wreck, and a waste of Kristen Dunst. Gwen Stacy, on the other hand, again, is a smart character. She works at Oscorp, helping out with lab experiments. Best moment for her is that Spider-Man is trying to finds out that Kurt Carnage is the Lizard. He needs to find an antidote. He calls Gwen Stacy and he's like, "Do you know how to make an antidote?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I got this. Don't worry about it. I got this." She races off to Oscorp. She concocts the antidote, and she figures out a way to stall the Lizard by activating the security locks. And then even when the Lizard breaks through, she's she's scared but not intimidated. She actually gets like a blowtorch thing and burns the Lizard to not harm her and everything. So Gwen Stacy, way better character than Mary Jane. Again, the way she's written, the way she's acted, blows Mary Jane out of the water. Sorry to Kristen Dunst, but yeah, Gwen Stacy, way better. Just a million times better than what they did with Mary Jane. And that's a shame, because in the comic book I kind of like Mary Jane. But still, so Gwen Stacy, best part of this movie. As far as the supporting cast, Captain Stacy actually plays a big role in the movie. There's no equivalent to... Well, I guess the equivalent would be J. Jonah Jameson, who doesn't appear in this movie. And I understand why. They're trying to keep, separate from the Sam Raimi movies. They're trying to be their own thing. So J. Jonah Jameson does not appear in this movie at all. So what they have is they sort of have his equivalent in Captain Stacy, who doesn't trust Spider-Man, who thinks he's trying to do his job, and he thinks he's a menace, and he goes after Spider-Man. I forget the actor's name, but he did an amazing job as Captain Stacy. Really good acting by his part. The only thing is a lack of judgment at the end of the movie, because let me just see if I can fix the lights. Hold on. Okay, hope that's a little better. Okay, so a lack of judgment by the end of the movie, because the Lizard's on his rampage, and he's transforming people into lizard men and everything. And Captain Stacy's like, there's a giant dinosaur man transforming people of New York. Forget that. I'm after Spider-Man. And he goes after Spider-Man. He then equips his police officer with electro bullets that shock Spider-Man. So, like, priorities, man. You got this dinosaur thing mutating the people of New York, and you're going after the guy that's trying to help you. Think, man. So that kind of got me annoyed with Captain Stacy. But at the end, you know, he sees that he's wrong, and he sees that Spider-Man is trying to help out, and he actually goes and helps Spider-Man, and plays a big role at the end of the movie. So Captain Stacy, really, really cool. I liked him too. The other point of comparison would be Aunt May and Uncle Ben. In both versions, I forget the name of the actor that played Uncle Ben in the Sam Raimi movies, but Martin Sheen plays Uncle Ben in this one, and he does a really, really good job. Martin Sheen plays a really good Uncle Ben in this movie. The only thing I can compare about the two movies is that it's a bit unrealistic, but I still like it, and that's when Uncle Ben is waiting for Peter, and then the criminal gets to him, he gets shot, and then he's on the street, and the cops come, the ambulance come, he's dying off, but he manages to hold on until Peter Parker finds him, and then he gives him a little speech, and then he dies. And this one's a bit more realistic. Uncle Ben is trying to look for Peter, and then this crook is trying to escape after robbing a convenience store. He trips, his gun, like slips off, and Uncle Ben's like, I gotta stop him. So he fights with the guy with the gun, and then he gets shot, collapses. Peter's around that area. He goes to Uncle Ben, and he's trying to stop the bleeding, and Uncle Ben dies. More realistic, which is what they were going for in this movie, but they do miss out on that big final speech. They do make up for it in a voice message, but it's not the same as, you know, having Uncle Ben, which of course doesn't even happen in the comic books. In the comic books, Uncle Ben dies off panel without even so much as a goodbye. But that's something I appreciate from both of the movies, that they actually do give Peter a last moment with Uncle Ben. That's something I liked, and I liked the speech in the last Sam Raimi movie, and I do kind of miss it in the new one, even though, again, it's more realistic that he died without giving a big speech, even though, again, he does it on a voice message. But both Uncle Bens are really cool. As far as Aunt May doesn't have that much to do, especially after Uncle Ben dies. She doesn't have that much to do in the movie. She is there, she's still a presence in the movie, and there is a really cool part where Aunt May, it looks like Aunt May kind of pieces everything together, and she knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's never said, but it's very very loosely implied. Like, she's watching the news and she's like, oh my god, it's Peter. And then, you know, I hope they follow this up in the other movies and in the sequels, which have been confirmed, that, you know, they do reveal that Aunt May knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So, but in both movies, I like Uncle Ben's. I like the actors and what they do with Uncle Ben, and I like the actresses and what they do with Aunt May. Even though in this movie it does feel like an aunt, and in the other movie kind of feels like she's a loving grandma. But again, I don't know. Both roles are pretty cool. Now, I also like what they did with Flash Thompson. In the Raimi movies, Flash Thompson is there at the start, breaks up with Mary Jane, and then disappears from the face of the earth. In this one, he's still a bully. He still picks on Parker and beats him up and everything. But after Uncle Ben gets shot, Flash Thompson actually tries to, like, reach out to Peter Parker. And by the end of the movie, they kind of have this understanding, which is good, because in the comic books, that happens with Flash Thompson. He evolves. I would have liked a little bit more character growth with Flash Thompson, but it's nice that was there and it was acknowledged. So props to the new one for that. Now we reach the villain, and throughout the Raimi movies, they had the Lizard, they had Kurt Connors there. They always like teased that he might appear in the movie at one point, which he never did, but he was there. And the Lizard in comic books is a really, really impressive bad guy. Even though his whole thing is that, you know, he's this lizard and he wants to create more lizard people because he thinks they're the next step in evolution. And they pull that off in this movie. After Kurt Connor starts turning into a lizard, the lizard personality pops up, and he's telling him like that humans are weak and he's stronger. And his whole thing is that he wants to turn people into lizard people. But the look of the lizard in this movie I didn't quite like that much. There are some, in the comic books he has his trench coat and he's this lizard guy. And there's some scenes that they do that where the lizard appears on the trench coat. On the lab coat, I'm sorry. But after, most of the time he's like just lizard naked. And I don't like the design of the lizard. Okay, I'm going to see if I can put up a comparison picture here, but the lizard in the face, in the comic books he has like this crocodile snout, which makes him look intimidating. In the movie, he looks like one of the bad guys from the Super Mario Brothers. You know, that horrible Super Mario movie with John Leguizamo. The face looks like it. It doesn't look anything intimidating. I don't know why they did that. They could have CGI'd the snout, but I think they wanted to make him have more facial expressions. But he's a lizard, you know. He shouldn't have that many facial expressions to begin with. So he doesn't look intimidating. I didn't think he was intimidating. He's a powerhouse and he beats up Spider-Man, but he didn't look intimidating at all because of his face design. And again, I'll put up a picture here so you can compare them. But yeah, he looks like a bad guy from Super Mario Brothers. So comparing him to, even though the Green Goblin looked like a Power Ranger with his techno suit, he was still intimidating because he knew who Peter Parker was. Dr. Octopus, again, visually they pulled it off. The Sandman also looked epic. Lizard did not look so epic. He did not look that intimidating. So yeah, the villain, as much as I was looking forward to seeing the Lizard, his design just threw me off. So not as epic as he could have been. But yeah, the new one just has more points to its favor. The second Spider-Man movie from Sam Raimi was pretty cool. It felt more epic. That train scene fight was really, really cool. But this one is a little bit more realistic. Again, Spider-Man is funny, so I think it's better. I'm gonna have to watch it again because I don't know if it's the way that it was edited or if it was because the theater where we went had this weird problem with the showing that would kind of cut off. But I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the editing because there does seem there are parts that were cut off from the movie. So I'm gonna have to go watch it again, or I'll wait until it comes out on Blu-ray. Because that's the only thing that kind of threw me off also about the movie is that it does feel like some parts were cut off, like it's missing certain plot elements. Again, I don't know if that's how it was edited and it escaped the test audiences, but that one was pretty weird. But it might be just a technical issue. Movie-wise, my only gripe with the new movie is how easily Spider-Man unmasks in front of everyone. Like, before he turns into Spider-Man, he's trying to track down the killer that shot Uncle Ben, which he never finds, which I thought was a nice touch, because it kind of parallels Bruce Wayne and Joe Chill. Originally, Batman could never find Joe Chill, so his murder of his parents went unjustified, so that's why he tried to stop everyone, because everyone could be a Joe Chill. And that's what they do here. Spider-Man never finds the guy with the star tattoo. So again, it kind of justifies that he's trying to stop every criminal, so that never repeats itself. But he never finds him. But as he's trying to look for that criminal, he's trying to catch people that he thinks, because they kind of look like him. And one of the bad guys sees him without any mask or protection or anything. He's like, "I know what you look like. I'm gonna come after you." So that's when Spider-Man decides to put on a mask and everything. But that's one guy that knows what he looks like and what he kind of sort of do. Then when the Lizard goes out into this bridge in his very first rampage, the Lizard throws a car off a bridge, and then Spider-Man catches it. He lets the Lizard go because he has to save a little kid. And the kid is obviously freaked out. So Spider-Man unmasks himself, and he's like, "Look, I'm just a normal guy. I'm just trying to help, and don't freak out on me, kid." And he gives him his mask because, to help the kid get out of the car. But that's another person he unmasks in front of. Then he tells Gwen Stacy about his secret. Again, Aunt May seems to piece things together, so she knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Captain Stacy knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker because in the last scene, in the last part of the movie, he catches him, tases him, and then removes the mask. And Spider-Man's kind of trying to keep his face hidden, but then he has to confront Captain Stacy with a big old helicopter spotlight hitting his face, where everyone can see what he looks like, and tells him, you gotta let me go, you gotta let me save Gwen Stacy. And Captain Stacy's like, okay, go. But that's another person that knows who he is. And then in a very weird, stupid decision by Peter Parker, the Daily Bugle is offering reward money for pictures of the Lizard. So he goes into the sewers and sets up his camera, like in the comic books, and then he fights the Lizard, but then Spider-Man gets dragged down into the sewers, leaves his camera. The Lizard finds the camera, and on the back of the camera, it has those sticker machines with something that says "Property of Peter Parker." So the Lizard figures out who Spider-Man is. So that was incredibly stupid by Peter Parker to leave his camera with a "Property of Peter Parker" there. So a lot of people find out who Spider-Man is, and that's something that in the comic books, Peter Parker tries to keep his identity secret so no one gets hurt. And in this movie, everyone knows who Spider-Man is. Doesn't matter. Secret identity, what the hell is that? So that's another thing that they kind of dropped the ball on that one. But again, the best thing I like about this movie is that Spider-Man is funny. He's not whiny. He's not a wimp. This Spider-Man is even when he doesn't have his powers, he tries to defend people from Flash Thompson. Even though he gets beat up, he's more of a he's more active. He's a more active Spider-Man, so I really like that. And the CGI Spider-Man, again, of course, with the advancement in CGI, he looks better. He moves more like he would in real life. If someone got bitten by a radioactive spider, how he would become more acrobatic. This Spider-Man skateboards. He skateboards. He's a skater, but. And a lot of people I've heard don't like that, but it kind of makes sense because if he does skateboard, it would make sense why he was a little bit more agile with his spider thing. When he's training, actually he's doing tricks on his skateboard, so that I didn't bother me that much. He's back to doing web shooters, which is one thing I do applaud in the Raimi movies, because if he's a radioactive man spider, it does make sense that he would produce his own webbing. So that's something I applaud in the original that doesn't happen here. A lot of people complain that he doesn't have his web shooters. I thought that the organic webbing was a brilliant idea. I mean, man, why they don't keep doing that in the comic books? The organic webbing was by far an incredible idea. They did kind of use it in Spider Island, but Spider-Man himself should have organic webbing. It just makes more sense. So that's something that I do applaud from the older Raimi movies. But yeah, all in all, this movie was really cool. I really liked it, and they've already confirmed they're going to make some sequels, and I'm looking forward to that, because they could still do a lot of really cool characters. Norman Osborn is mentioned a lot, but he's never shown. Again, just like with J. Jonah Jameson, I think they're trying to keep separate from the Raimi movies, but he's going to play a role eventually. Norman Osborn has to play a role because he's like a classic villain. But they could go with other villains. They could go like with Kraven the Hunter, or now that they've introduced these genetic things, they could introduce guys like the Scorpion, or a whole bunch of different things that they could do with the Spider-Man villains with this new approach. So I'm looking forward to some more sequels. If they do a trilogy, that'd be cool. It would be interesting to see how they up the ante, like they did with the second Sam Raimi movie with the Doc Ock. I would love to see how they up the ante, because again, the Lizard kind of left me kind of like, he could have been better. And I hope that if they do make a third one, it's way better than the Raimi movie again. No, that movie just overall it was a bad movie, but just good movie. If you haven't seen it, and I haven't spoiled it with this movie, with this video review, go watch it. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely a good start for a Spider-Man reboot, and I'm looking forward to some more. So yeah, those were my thoughts on this new Spider-Man movie. If you didn't agree with what I said, please don't hate me. I would actually like for everyone there to leave a comment. Leave a comment saying what you liked about the movie, what you didn't like about the movie. If you think that the Sam Raimi movies are still way better than this reboot, I want to know. I want to hear back from everyone. So yeah. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching and for hearing me rant throughout this video about Spider-Man. But like always, thanks so much for watching, and until I see you all again, this is Vargas XX78, signing off.